Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to Excoundrel AFK Journey. We are going to look at mostly some of the upcoming content, but specifically going to look at Alsa, because that's the hero that's going to be available basically within the next 10 hours. And we're going to see whether it's worth it and what we think she's going to be good for and where we think she can slot into comps. So take a look at her first ability. They haven't provided us with the full descriptions, so I'm going to do another video on Alsa tomorrow. But let's take a look. Twirling Rocks enters a combat stance, gaining enhanced flexibility in dealing damage and dodging attacks. Doesn't really tell us anything more than that, so.
Alsa's skill, Stone Barrier, summons the power of the earth to damage and stun her target for a set period of time. Beyond that, a multi-tile rock pillar will form behind the target, which can block enemy attacks. Enemies originally located at the tile of the rock pillar will be knocked back. Multiple pillars can exist at the same time, but in limited numbers and can be destroyed. In such a hazardous environment, it's not always the best to strike first. Sometimes it's smarter to stay alive and retreat, and Alsa understands just that. When she releases her ultimate skill, Twirling Rocks, Alsa will move to the target location and cause damage to enemies within range. Then, she will enter the combat stance, during which Alsa will have two new abilities. First, she curls up into a ball, quickly strikes the target to cause stun, and then bounces back to her original position. Once she acquires her exclusive skill, Dawn of Terra, the more she rolls in the combat stance state, the stronger the subsequent impact and the more she avoids damage. Secondly, when Alsa herself receives a high amount of damage within a range, she curls up again and hides far away.
Okay.
Each curl up will consume energy, but when she recovers, she will gain extra shields. Alsa's other skill, Repel Sweep, can...
Okay, wait, so I need to go back and look at this because they haven't really described each skill individually here. They've just kind of shown Alsa in general. So her ultimate skill enters combat stance, gaining enhanced flexibility when dealing damage and dodging attacks. Is that where she turns into a ball? It looks like that's when she turns into a ball and hits someone. She then has stone barrier. Wait a second. Stone barrier. Alsa deals damage to an area and creates earth pillars on the field. This can happen every 8 seconds and has a range of 6, but you will not be able to directly control where these pillars go because it is not an ultimate skill. It's just simply her first ability. Okay. Alsa deals damage to all enemies who recently suffered from control effects. That is good. That does sound like it could fit into some very meta compositions. That feels like it could fit into an Iron comp. Obviously works well with Carolina. Works well when combining it with Arden. There's definitely a world where Alsa can fit into a super meta composition and be really strong. It just really depends on the numbers that she's bringing to the table. Okay, okay.
Finding all enemies that have been controlled recently. She'll then create falling rocks above their heads to cause damage. This makes her a control-type mage who can create terrains. Now, how about her brother?
Right, so it didn't really adequately explain what Alsa did. Essentially, her ultimate looks like it's a stance thing. I'm going to go back and have a look at the first skill. Enters combat stance. It has a 0-second cooldown. Gaining enhanced flexibility in dealing damage and dodging attacks. So she'll enter into a combat stance. I need to read that in more detail because it's not very clear. She then has the create rock pillars, which deals enemies, stuns them if it was created on their location, and creates earth pillars on the field. She then has her exclusive weapon. Where was her exclusive weapon? Multiple pillars. So it blocks ranged attack, which is incredible. That could be really good. So when she releases her ultimate skill, Twirling Rocks, and she will enter the combat stance, which she calls it, and then she bounces back to her position. Once she includes this exclusive skill, Dawn of Terror, the more she rolls in combat stance state. Okay, so basically her ultimate is the roll thing, which puts her into a combat stance. And then her exclusive weapon increases the power every time she uses it, which could be really interesting. It's very difficult to really say how Alsa's gonna work 100%. It doesn't show us her exclusive weapon or her Supreme Plus skill here, but she seems really good on paper, specifically Rolling Boulder, which Alsa deals damage to all enemies who have recently suffered from crowd control effects. And that's only once every 12 seconds, so it's got a relatively long cooldown, but it really depends on how much damage it's going to deal. But she is, and one of the drawbacks of her, so there's a lot of positives to her in this case, right? Positives, works well in conjunction with other crowd control enemies, potentially has a lot of longevity, creates a lot of stalling mechanics on the field, which you don't really have stalling mechanics, especially for like anti-ranged heroes. So she's going to be potentially very good against, things like Odie, things like Valor, anything that she can block ranged attacks with is what her skills are going to be great for. However, she has got a lot of her kit that kind of revolves around ramping up in damage over a period of time. We know, as people who have played sort of mid to late game, in general, at the late game progression stages, fights tend to be won in the first 10 seconds or lost in the first 10 seconds. So whether she's even going to have the ability to do that kind of ramping, it will all depend on how good the targeting and the sort of the placement of those walls are going to be to kind of stall out fights. There is stall comps that already exist, very heavy on the healing. If she's good enough to be a solo carrier in those stall comps, there could be a really interesting things to be done with her. But she's an interesting enough character that I am going to try and pull her to at least Mythic Plus, potentially Supreme Plus if I get lucky enough. So she's interesting enough in that regard that I definitely want to try and pull her because she's got a really cool looking kit. And that, to me, is enough to say I think she could be worth it. Plus the fact that Maulers are already quite meta. You have Odie, you have Smokey and Mirky, you have Antandra as an off-tank. There is a lot of good reason to think that Alsa could be a very strong addition to that lineup. We're not really seeing her true numbers here, so it's really difficult to tell, but we'll find out tomorrow. Okay, let's have a look at Soren now.
Soren?
Right. Soren's skill, Repel Sweep, gives him the ability to seize opportunities and locate enemies close to his allies. Deals damage to a target and knocks them back, dealing additional damage and stunning them upon collision.
Skill, Repel Sweep, gives him the ability to seize opportunities and locate enemies close to his allies or which are being obstructed by terrain.
So there are some obvious synergies between Soren and Alsa here. Soren can knock people into Alsa's terrain additions and potentially stun, deal increased damage in that regard.
Deals damage to them with an enhanced basic attack that also knocks back. If the target hits any characters, terrain, or stage borders during knockback, it will receive extra damage and a stun.
It's pretty good though because most people clump up their units. So there's always going to be a situation where you're very likely to get a knockback into at least another enemy hero, and obviously has that synergy with Alsa, so that's interesting.
And Alsa could create
Obviously,
terrains.
it says here.
Don't they complement each other perfectly? Besides Repel Sweep, Soren's ultimate skill, Whirlwind Swing, also has a similar effect. He selects a tile on the map, leaps and quickly smashes down, causing damage and a knockback to enemies within range. Similarly, if the target hits any characters, terrain, or stage borders during knockback...
Any characters, so that could be allied characters as well. Okay, so again, excellent synergy with Alsa.
Practicing for years for the day to protect Uru Clan. He never doubted moving forward on the path and receives...
Okay, so I don't care about his lore. Increase the knockback distance of the next Repel Sweep when triggering Deflecting Swing. Have we had a look at what Deflecting Swing is? Okay. His skill
will reduce damage from this attack by 70%. His 10% of his maximum health. His skill, Deflecting Swing,
skill,
will reduce damage from this attack by 70%. It will also trigger Repel Sweep once. This trigger does not affect the cooldown time of Repel Sweep itself. Finally, his exclusive skill is Dusk Rejuvenation. When his health falls below 50%, the skill activates a mysterious power that strengthens Dusk's blessing, increasing his speed and lasting for a set period of time. Well, no.
Oh, well, it's interesting that Soren's got a very cool kit. And I think he could be really good as well. He's got a lot of stall mechanics in his kit, a lot of CC, and a lot of knockback. And also damage reduction. So he's got damage reduction built into his kit, a lot of CC built into his quick kit, and self-steroid damage reduction / regeneration. Very, 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 could be very good. Could be excellent in Mauler stall comps. These two seem like really great additions to already pretty strong Mauler comps. You know, my question is, like, how tanky is he actually going to be? Because, like, Brutus is the king of just being a stall tank for Maulers. I think it really depends on, like, how effective his knockback is, you know, how much stunning can you get done with it. Obviously, this might be another addition to kind of the anti-Iron comps in PvP, because it'll have a lot of CC built into it. You know, if you run this with Iron, everyone's going to get locked up, and then Soren just jumps in and potentially just blows everyone up, stuns them infinitely. So there's lots of CC here, which is very good. CC is always a nice addition to, especially a tank. So yeah, I think genuinely Soren could be really good. Again, would need to see specifics in terms of stun lengths, but two abilities that have CC. One of them can CC one person. His ultimate skill can CC a hell of a lot of people, and can also synergize really well with terrain. He's got an inbuilt damage reduction and an inbuilt sort of regeneration. So incredibly good. Doubt he's going to be a huge damage dealer. Feels like he's much more of a stall tank warrior type thing. But that obviously is going to work well, because most Mauler comps generally tend to be quite stall heavy, especially because they usually run with Odie. But two really good characters that I think would be much better than Florabelle, personally. I think Florabelle is good, but she wasn't, like, insane. Whereas I feel like these guys are going to be potentially really good, and I am going to see how Alsa performs. I don't think Soren's coming to the Rated banner until after that. Right, let's have a look at what's next here. So, new monsters.
Throughout the journey, they will encounter this new game mode is called Bestial Brawl. In this newly discovered land, there exists Iron Jaws, an intriguing monster that resides in specific territory and guards it without mercy. Bestial Brawl is one of the main new puzzle mechanics of the new season.
Okay, you need to get a beast to charge into stuff.
Of Iron Jaws, they launch an attack. These monsters don't attack with the regular 5v5 combat forms. Instead, they push away the intruder until they're expelled from the territory.
Okay, so it's just like to get through breakables to get to certain areas. Doesn't look like it's particularly complicated, though.
It could even be advised to crush obstacles for hidden treasures.
Yeah, fine.
In addition to Bestial Brawl and Treasure Quest.
Okay, what's Treasure Quest? I've just missed that, sorry.
Let's look at the brand new Treasure Quest gameplay. All you need to do is have a chat with treasure hamsters across the wilds and in some towns and start treasure hunting. For that, you'll need this new item, Loot Detector. By placing loot detectors at various places,
it's like archaeology. Oh my gosh, this is quite interesting.
Of hidden treasures. However, the range and distance that loot detectors can reveal is limited, and only a fixed number of detectors can exist in the area.
That's actually quite cool. I like that. That's definitely more interesting than some of the puzzles that were there before.
Treasure Quest, the new season also introduces a special mechanic, Raging Duel. Here, both parties have a value called Raid. By triggering specific conditions, they can accumulate rage, which, when full, provides the entire team with a large amount of buffs until the battle ends. Raging Duel is a special mechanism that can be experienced in some levels, but not all battles. So pay extra attention when they're triggered. This new journey is so rich in experiences.
Okay, I don't really get that. We'll have to see what it's like.
More than with the arrival of the new season to meet to you the all-new if they're obtained for this season.
Okay.
Each hero can equip
three charms,
each of which can provide extra bonus stats. Each charm can be identified as one of these 5 qualities: rare,
elite, epic, legendary, and mythic.
Or mythic. at these charms. They shine through your soul, don't they?
They shine through my soul.
Moreover, if you collect the same or higher quality charms, you can activate the hero's seasonal prowess. The seasonal prowess brought by higher quality charms is also stronger. Getting charms is very simple. You just steal them, like none other than Vala. Just kidding! Where can Magister Merlin find charms? Through the brand new seasonal battle mode, Dura's Trial. Tales have it that Goddess... If you know anything, all-new PvE mode where you'll find quite a few charm resources.
Okay.
Each tower has its own progress, and you'll get random rewards each time you pass a floor. This, of course, includes charms for all heroes.
This is just like another kind of floor, like Trial of Abyss, that type of thing.
Rewards. Charms obtained in Dura's Trial provide heroes seasonal prowess, a progression that is easy to manage on a seasonal basis.
Yeah.
Speaking of new seasons, the timing of Magister Merlin's be full of new experiential skill content for every new season. In the long run, each new season will bring along new seasonal skill and a different level up experience. When the hero's season level reaches 51, seasonal skill will be unlocked, and its level will gradually increase with the season level.
Okay, that looked new for Vala.
At the end of the season, all season levels will be cleared and converted into essence, used for upgrading Resonance Synergy. To welcome Magister Merlin, who arrives in Hesperia at different timings, certain seasonal progressions will be refreshed every season. In addition, a brand new event, Supreme Arena, will open every Wednesday to...
They didn't give much details in the video. I was mostly interested in Alsa and Soren, but definitely looks like there's some cool stuff coming to the actual season, and also kind of excited, honestly, for the seasonal charms and the seasonal skills. I think there's gonna be so much theory crafting we can do with the charms. It's kind of exciting. But overall, like, I'm mostly interested in Alsa and Soren. That was the most information that we got from this video. I'll do a full informational video tomorrow once we actually get access to the game, because I'd love to just go and test things out and see how it goes. But I'll do a big video tomorrow once we get that released. That would be awesome. Right, guys, that's everything for me. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think that Alsa and Soren are going to be good. I think the only caveat is that obviously Alsa exists in a situation where she thrives in longer fights, and it's about whether her stalling mechanics are going to be enough for the higher tier fights, because generally at higher tier everyone just gets flattened and you can't stall very easily with very little tanks. But I'm excited to see where this goes. Let's see how we do, guys. Really, really cool stuff. I'll see you soon.